Salisbury Plain is not nearly as flat as it sounds. It's a vast tract of fertile land, decorated with rolling downs and threaded by sparkling chalk streams. It stretches from Devizes to Salisbury in one direction and from Andover to Warminster in the other, and is famous for barley barons, army manoeuvres, jets and helicopters, and by contrast for some of the loveliest villages, supplest streams and most spectacular views in the country. It's one of the oldest inhabited areas of Britain since about 3000 BC and is littered with ancient landmarks, of which Stonehenge is the most famous and the most tormented by man. The perfect spire of Salisbury Cathedral stands sentinel over the eastern approaches of the plain, and close by, the splendour of Old Sarum is where the city had its beginnings in pre-Roman times. Ralph Whitlock wrote of the plain in his book on Wiltshire. The wind, which is never tranquil here, and the dreamy distance play tricks with our vision till the whole landscape seems to be heaving before our eyes, the troughs being elevated and the crests sinking as the restless sea breathes and tosses. The plain was as smooth as a bowling green. It was made so by the nibbling of innumerable sheep and rabbits. Their incessant trimming of the wiry downland grasses gave the attractive little flowers of the chalk downs a chance to flourish. There's some magnificent unspoilt, uncultivated and protected countryside on the Salisbury Plain. In July, it's at its best and looking as it must have looked 1,000 years ago. Wildflowers and butterflies abound. I went walking on one of the best and most remote of these places, Great Cheverel Hill, with gardener Trevor Williams from Berwick St James. He's an enthusiast for the wildflowers and the butterflies of the plain.
Trevor, to the stranger to these parts, there's obvious attractions, but you live here. What's so special about it for you?
Oh, it's got to be the chalk grassland, the natural chalk grassland. What's left? The wildflowers, the butterflies, the birds that sing.
Magnificent view.
Oh, this is absolute magic. It really is.
Yes. There's all sorts of things around. There are masses of small things. There's little white, lots and lots of little white star-shaped things we've been seeing.
Some of this. This is the bastard toadflax. It's one of the reasons that Wiltshire Trust for Nature Conservation have this area as a reserve, as it will only grow on very old, established chalk grassland.
As a gardener, I usually reckon that chalk soils are about the worst. I mean, you can't grow really all that much on chalk.
No, the chalk soil is very low in nutriments and such like, but it means that all plants are able to compete well with one another. One plant does not dominate the whole area as you get on the richer soils.
It's wonderfully rich. Let's go and see if we can find some more.
Oh, yes.
So if you had to choose a plant or plants that told you you were on chalk, what would you go for?
Well, there are lots, Jim, but this one is very typical of chalk soil. It's Blackstonia. It's yellowwort. It is in the gentian family.
What's this rather tiny scabious? I recognise it as a scabious, but it's a bit stunted,
yes,
isn't
well, this is the small scabious. It's, again, very typical of the chalk grasslands. As we came in, where the soil was richer, near the arable land, and in the corner of the field where the cattle collect, the soil becomes richer, you get the meadow scabious. But when you're down onto the chalk grassland proper, it's the small scabious, which is the typical chalk grassland plant.
It sticks out like a sore thumb,
yes. So this is something different. This is where we've got a fox earth and the disturbed soil. You get the different types of plants coming in here.
Yeah, look, here's the earth.
That's the earth.
Oh, dear. Oh, it's awful. Some rotten cabbage smell.
Somebody at home.
Somebody's definitely at home.
For me, the countryside is not countryside without wild plants and the wild, all the other wild things that go with it. The wind, it's spiritual.
Any got no different grass in this farm there?
Sid Raymond from Cholderton is 80.
Any got no different grass in this?
Yeah, it'll be on a bit different grass this afternoon.
For 55 of those years, he's been a shepherd of Hampshire Down sheep, much of the time on Salisbury Plain.
You can lean this there, stop pushing that out, I'll shut
You want to cut them down on the back, same that one cut down, right down bare to the skin. Not cut the skin, but right down bare. I put him right through his neck, so keeping it. So you want to deceive the judges, we put it like that. Cover up as many faults as you possibly can.
Yeah, as far as Hampshire's concerned, yeah, probably is one of the best.
On Salisbury Plain in July, the fields are rich with the burden of the coming harvest. Everything is shimmering and prosperous and plentiful, and full of promise and security against the bleak, wild, windy winter which lies ahead. Here is a special place, close to the heart of ancient England, which it's hard to visit without retaining a lasting impression of beauty and dignity in your heart and in your memory.
That episode of Country Ways was a change to the advertised programme.